God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Serenity prayer. I'm relieved to find that this prayer is not in scripture, so I cease to pray it because the thought of being serene at this stage in my life is so distant. I can't value its worth. Since God doesn't grant me the serenity I need, it must mean I possess the courage to change everything, which is false for two reasons. One, the obvious, I can't change the past and will never be at peace with it. Two, I inevitably inherited a spirit of cowardice, so even if I wish to confront these issues, the question is, will I? The Bible does state that the price to pay for sins committed is death. It too urges us to obey the 10 commandments, one being not to steal. Random, but is it sin considering the intent of one's heart and the principle of the lesser of two evils? With Mama catering to the piece of him that he left, a fierce addiction to alcohol and drugs, my sister becomes my mother to me at age 5. From what I am told by Grandma, my sister provides me necessities by depleting Mom's chemical dependency funds. So is she held accountable for stealing in a situation where it's either sin to save a life or sin to not love her little brother as herself? Either way, I thank her for saving me from death by starvation when it was Mom's job to do so. The crack epidemic took hold of Mom. Instead of her feeding the seed she conceived and later birthed, she yielded to the seed of an addiction that my father planted in her. That is the only seed that was not taken away. At least she'll always have a part of him. One SIDS risk I was safe from, though, was crib death. I didn't have a crib to die in. Neither Mom nor Grandma had enough money for my sister to steal that, but I don't doubt that she would have purchased me that as well somehow. My sister loves me, even though my birth ruined her chances at a true family. Sorry, sister. I keep Mom's memory beneath my bosom and buried the pain with her body, but the grave reopens every August. It is August of 1988 when she introduced me to the agony of this world at 12:36 p.m. The following August, she lets them take us. That day, I lose the one thing I truly love other than my sister. The one I felt a constant need for falls from my grasp, and to me, life ends. How can I go on without the encouraging words or feeling its warm torso while I slept at night? To this day, I still miss that superhero action figure. I wanted to miss my mother, but I don't know her. 10 Augusts later, she punches her time clock. A few years prior, she punches me as we were walking past the Cloverland Milk Company on Exeter Hall and Loch Raven Boulevard, growing acquainted with one another. Amazed at the never-ending milk towers that extend to the sky, I slightly increase my pace. Mom chases me down, jumps on me, and hits me on the face. "Don't you ever walk that far in front of me around here, man. If something happened to you, how am I going to protect you?" "Protect me from what?" I asked. I was afraid to question her at first, but I had to know. I was curious. I got up and continued on the sidewalk at her side without an answer. My face didn't sting as much as my feelings did. Some attribute the incident to the love of a mother, but I say it's due to what she purchased from that ugly, dark grown-up with the dingy tank top early in the shopping center parking lot, and the 30 minutes she spent in the bathroom at Grandma's before we left. In fact, I know it because she's always pleasant to me otherwise. Every August in between, she hates me. I can't blame her. I bring hell into her world before I even get a chance to live. Before me, she had a family that she loved, and I ruined it. It takes almost 6 years for me to accidentally hear Mom's voice and see her face again since she gave us up. She knows my whereabouts. She handpicks the residence and guardianship for the both of us. She splits us up between two of our great aunts. My sister calls the one she lives with Aunt Eunice, like the rest of her nieces and nephews. I call the one I live with Ma, because she's the only mother I know. I was so young when we were removed from Mom. I forgot her. It may have been by choice and not a glitch in my mental remembrance. The days when I'm visiting Grandma are always dull. I don't like the way it smells here either. My visits consist of the same events, always. Going to the store for her, sitting to watch her favorite shows on this black and white television, and listening to the sweet lyrics of what her generation calls the oldies but goodies. The latter of the three activities is my favorite. Michael Jackson dominates the radio and Grandma's 8-track recorder. He's a man. I put his record on and take my place on the protective plastic covering Grandma's colorful couch and begin with the song, You Are Not Alone. That's my jam. His soothing voice convinces me that I will always have him with me, even though I've yet to see his face, and even though that's not the intent of the song. He knows I feel alone. I feel like something's missing, but I can't pinpoint what that something is. Maybe it's my father. No, it's something more. This house is where music lives. It takes root in my heart and becomes not just instrumental to my life, but the instruments of my life. The Luther Vandross, Teddy Pendergrass, Barry White records, to name a few, that my friends constantly ask how I know came from Grandma's 8-track recorder. When the records blare through the speakers, Grandma takes her seat next to me. She starts with closing her eyes and rubbing her thighs. Next, she picks up the pad and pen by the time the third song begins. All of this is normal. I never read what she writes. It may be her thoughts, and I wouldn't want anyone to read my thoughts, so I don't do it to her. My thoughts would have committed me to a mental facility. There is a knock at the door. Not so normal. Grandma gets up and makes a sound that expresses her confusion. She isn't expecting anyone. She maneuvers her way through all of the clutter she cherishes to answer the door. She yells, "Poncella, hey baby!" "Hey ma," this Poncella replies. They kiss. Huh? Wait, why does she just call my grandma Ma? I thought I met all of Grandma's children, my Uncle Antoine and Shantae, my aunt. I could be mistaken. I haven't quite figured out the concept of relation to one another in the family structure yet. For example, Ma, who I live with, refers to Grandma as her sister Dolores, Grandma's middle name, instead of calling her Ma. My brother Danny calls her Aunt Dolores, and so does my sister Nivea. Also, Ma and Nivea's last name is Jones. Danny has his father's last name Bowser, and I have the same last name as Grandma, Uncle Antoine, and Shantae. This could make perfect sense somehow. The woman at the door is brown-skinned. That stands out to me because, besides my Uncle Antoine, I'm surrounded by light-skinned individuals, especially at home. None of them have this big nose that I have, except this lady that walks through the door. Following the embrace, Poncella walks over to me gesturing for a hug and says, "Oh my God, hey man." She hugs me and kisses me. I get a closer look at her. Who is this woman that I'm a spitting image of? More importantly, who is Man? Grandma says she's my mom, but I already have one. Back at home a few months after the incident, I find an envelope on my bunk bed already torn halfway open. I never get mail, so I don't gripe over someone invading my privacy. It's addressed to me from Poncella V. Douglas. The space for her address has a bunch of numbers in its place. After forsaking my sister and me, leaving me to believe that the woman who took me in was the one who birthed me, this new lady expresses her gratitude for our custodial removal when she writes me from jail. I guess it's true that people do have time to think about the things furthest from their minds while incarcerated. I noticed a picture drawn on the back of the envelope. It's a character from a cartoon. I assume it's what she thinks is a picture of a superhero action figure I lost. Cute, yet hurtful reminder. The character she means to draw was the closest thing I had to a father. He instilled in me the virtue that I could do anything I set my mind to. Sticking to it is my issue. He assured me that evil would never prevail against good. He is the father I could honor. He spoke into my life and gave me something that my parents didn't care to. Hope. This letter explains my origins as Memoir and is filled with patronizing apologies and promises to be the broken family my father left us to be. Though I'm furious about being lied to for so long, everything in me leaps toward heaven before reading that I am no longer her only son, nor is my big sister Quinshona her only daughter. How could she? How do you justify losing your first 2 children for an addiction and avoiding communication with them to begin another family? I guess she needed a fresh start. The sequence is as follows. Mom has her firstborn girl. Dad, mom, and baby girl are a family. Mom has her firstborn baby boy. Dad leaves mom with the 2 children. Mom elopes with the drug she yokes herself to and releases her children from her custody. Mom finds a new man. Mom has a new firstborn girl and a new firstborn boy by this new man. Their dad, my mom, and their 2 children remain a family until her death. This makes my birth, which I never asked for, the broken link in her life. She loved me but hated me for something I had no control over. She could have wanted to abort, but I was too strong to let go. I made it out regardless of the black lungs, the severing liver, and the deteriorating organs I depended upon. I prevailed against the entrapment of her narrow canal that probably refused to dilate and was birthed with no brain defects or chemical dependencies. There is one minor birth defect in me though, the raging temper within. It's said by researchers that a mother who abuses drugs or alcohol while pregnant can cause the child to have chemical dependencies when born, or have emotional issues and mismanaged anger problems later in life. I dodged the chemical dependency. As for the others, I was not so fortunate. On July 31st, 1999, her 35th birthday, was the last straw. Grandma's house, full of clutter and the colorful couch, was in Waverly. It burned down, so she moved. While visiting her the weekend of my mom's birthday on Boone Street, where every house is boarded up but hers, Mom turns the corner of the alleyway as drunk as sober can be. Stumbling, cursing, and yelling, she lays eyes on me and grows instantly sedated. I shake my head and turn to leave. My ride is here to take me home to Ma. As I get in the car, she yells, "I love you, man!" I try to stop and respond, but am forced in the back of a seat of a Q45. "No, you don't, you liar," is what I want to shout at her, but we are pulling off. I look back to see a tear fall from her left eye. The New York Yankees cap I accidentally left on the steps now rests upon her head as we drive away. She takes her seat on the step and waves goodbye to the car as if she will never see me again. I start to cry. I finally feel a mother's love and see her remorse. I know she feels the pain she causes me in her drunkenness that day and every day prior. Kneeling in the back seat, looking out of the rear window, I feel the same uncertainty as the day I first met her. Deja vu. She doesn't delight in my departure this time. So I grow ecstatic because her repentant face convinces me that her promise will one day come true. I write her a letter and draw a picture to show her that I remember. I dream and plan on running into her again at Grandma's house. On Monday, August 16th, 1999, I asked Ma if I could go visit Grandma this weekend. She knows by now I just want to see Mom. She tells me no because she doesn't have a way for me to get there. I tell her I can catch the bus. It's not like I haven't caught the bus alone before. She doesn't have any money, she says. I have money in my piggy bank. She reluctantly permits me to go, seeing that I won't let up. I'm on top of the world. I decide to spend my upcoming birthday with Mom too if she recognizes this rapid approach. This 10-year-old child, who only knows how to forgive, rushes through the week carelessly for the weekend. It's been a while since the last I saw her birthday to be exact. My lasting visual of her crying on the steps and waving underneath the shade of my hat. Tuesday, August 17, 1999 comes and goes as my newfound love for her further develops. I call Grandma every day to be sure that Mom will show up when I arrive. She assures me Mom will. August 20th, 1999 sparks the weekend, and that very day, exactly 7 days before my birthday and hours before I am to head to the bus stop, Mom dies for the second time. This death, though, is permanent and irreversible. A dream deferred. Yet again, she makes a selfish decision, this time to check out days before I am to celebrate the day she checked me in. It takes being an orphan for me to realize I will not have the family I desire and was once promised, the family that is owed to me. My birthday present from her came early. Her last words to me, "I love you, my man." Mom's relatives often degrade her in my presence, both before and after her death. I wonder if it was intentional of them, or did they think I wouldn't pick up on the conversation. But when I inquire about the actual cause of her death, they hide the details. No, they lie. I'm relieved to find out that Mom died of an asthma attack and nothing else. That's what the family tells me. She had chronic bronchitis, which makes sense. I thank God that drugs did not cause her demise. My sister and I already suffered a metaphorical death from her usage of them. We need not bear the pain of her physical death from the same. But we do. And this is how I overhear the dead spoken of as I go to get the rest of my shrimp fried rice out of the refrigerator. Well, what kind of drug was it? Girl, I don't know. Ain't no telling what she was strung out on. Probably crack or something. Well, I was told that nigger was there while she was taking God knows what, and when she died, he put her in the truck and took her to Dolores' house. If my heart still beats, it is full of deoxygenated blood because I refuse to breathe the entire time. I warm up my rice but cannot eat it at all. All I can think of is those two little ones she loved so much, her new kids. I've only seen them a few times. Mom nicknamed all of us. She called Quinshana Bug, even though Quinshana hates that name. I asked Mom why she named her that once. When Quinshana was around, Mom said it's because she was her lovely little ladybug. But alone, Mom told me that Quinshana looked like a little bug when she was a baby, hence the name. She calls my little sister Angel and my little brother Binky. They were 6 and 5 when Mom died. The first time I saw them was the time Mom and I were walking past the milk company. We were headed to their house. We arrived on Carswell Street. Their house was halfway down the block. Mom walked up the steps and opened the unlocked door. It was summertime. The windows read Merry Christmas. There was no curtain. All I can recall about the inside is the bathroom in the basement. I remember because I used it. There was a bathtub that stood on its own bottom. I remember because as I peed in the toilet, I saw a huge rat run behind that tub and into a hole. Binky takes to me instantly as his big brother. We resemble one another so much so that the only major distinctions are height, weight, and hair texture. He has pretty curly hair. Mine grows straight out and stands at the top of my head as if I carry an overload of electricity in me. It takes time for Angel to warm up to me, but it isn't long before she is begging me for back rides every time she sees me. That's my little brother, my little sister, and I love them. I see them more than I see Quinshana. The night of Mom's death, I reflect on my little time with them and wrestle with God, telling him that I will care for her kids to the best of my ability if he just releases his hatred for me. I suspect I am victorious until August 26, 1999, when I am informed that my younger siblings moved to Virginia, missing the funeral and leaving me to never see them again. If God does exist, he must take vacation in August because his torture for me doesn't stop there. There's no space in this limo for you, young man. You have to find someone else to ride with. Who is this man, and who grants him the authority to dictate my means of transportation to my mother's funeral? Who besides my sister and grandma is more important than me to have privilege to this luxurious ride? It isn't that it's my mother's funeral that upsets me, but I've never ridden in a limo before. I just stand silent, squinting my eyes at the mortician and frowning. Not to intimidate him, even though it seems to have that effect, but because the sun melts the grease on the parts in my head and it slides down into my eyes. It burns. He looks away and lets out a sigh. My little brother's riding in this limo, sir. Come on, brother, demands Sister Quinshana. She never calls me by my name. That's something she and Mom had in common. I assume neither of them wanted to hear my father's name anymore. Her choice term of endearment is brother, so I'll call her sister. She doesn't let me call her Bug. Sister yanks me and doesn't release my pistol-thin wrist until I am crammed between the window of the limo and Grandma. The ride to the church seems to take so long, which usually takes about 10 minutes. Out of the window is a cloud like no other. It looks like a puffy white ballroom for angels. The sun's beams peer through it onto the earth. It follows us the entire ride, waiting at every stop and turning every corner with this car. I wrap myself with this enormous cotton ball and wonder if it's the cloud that takes Mom to heaven. Meanwhile, Grandma is soaking my shirt with her tears. Shantae is doing the same with Grandma's shirt and Sister with Shantae's. I'm too distracted to participate in the ripple effect. I doubt I can produce tears at this point anyway. These people hold on to many memories with Mom. Grandma birthed her and raised her. Shantae, Mom's sister, grew up with her and lived with her. Sister not only spent the first 5 years of her life with Mom, but saw her much more frequently than I did. Me, I can count on 2 hands the number of times I saw Mom. If we speak of pleasant times, I only need 1. But I cherish every second spent together. The limo pulls to the curb and the clouds break loose from my optical grip and vanishes. We all enter into the New Lebanon Calvary Baptist Church, where all of my family attends. Your great-grandmother helped build this church. She held bake sales and all types of fundraisers to raise money for us to get this building that you are sitting in, is what the elderly mothers of the church tell me every time I come here. In their old age, they also reveal a potential family secret from time to time by asking, "The late Pastor Joseph is your great-grandfather?" From what I know, Ben Blackwell is my great-grandfather. Anyway, I get a splinter every time I come here because of the chafing wood seats. Great-grandma Mary may have helped build it, but somebody needs to come along to maintain it. Trying to be positive, I think about how good it will be for me to finally have a picture of Mom on her obituary. I rush to the usher for my final birthday present. The picture is lovely. It is as beautiful as a white dove. Actually, it is a white dove. Literally. Nice, just not my mom. Whoever designed her obituary didn't select a picture for it. I wonder why. Fighting to bypass the anger, I march down to the altar to view Mom's corpse. The aisle stretches itself out, making this walk awkward, but the fact that my white cotton socks are on display with every step as my suit pants rise grabs my attention and passes the time. The casket is nice. It's white with gold trimming. Judging by the way she is regarded by some, I thought she would be buried in the scrap plywood of a demolition project. Then again, Grandma wouldn't allow that. Her outfit isn't as nice. Standing before her, peering through those stitched eyelids, I feel Mom's eyes. They're warm. They get to rest. Sister stands next to me. We gaze in silence for about 10 minutes. I'm afraid to touch my dead mother before me. She is so bloated. Her hair is intact, nails properly groomed. The only thing missing is her beautiful smile along with the rest of her normal self. Mom would never wear red lipstick, blush, pearls, or this pink dress. I miss her smile already. There's nothing I can do now to make her smile because she has no life in her. Her pretty teeth are sewn behind her painted lips. My mother is dead, I think to myself. My mother is dead, I have to say out loud. It's so hard to believe because I feel so guilty. I spent our short time together embarrassed and ashamed of her. If any of my friends tried cracking your mama jokes, I would bash their heads in before they tried to make my mother the butt of them. They didn't know why, and now my mother is dead. I walked around talking about how much I couldn't stand her, and now I'm standing here missing her once she is dead. She's dead. The feminine version of myself is lying here in this casket. A part of me lies there dead with her. It is a part that can never be revived until we meet again, if we meet again. I miss my mommy. I want her back. Mom could find humor in any situation, so I try to think of something she would say at the time. Nothing. The line builds behind us, so I slide to the side and Sister goes to get splinters at her seat. People pass and compliment Mom's makeup, her nice pink dress, and her hair. But none of these things are her. No one seems to really know her. Following these praises, people ask for Mom's 2 youngest children and console Sister. Only few offer their condolences to me. No one recognizes me as Poncella's son. "Who's that?" strangers whisper, speaking of me. "That's her boy," pointing to Ma, others reply. They truly believe that because I live with my aunt and refer to her as Ma, this occasion has no effect on me. I kiss Mom's ice-cold forehead and take my place in the pew, hoping the splinters don't slice these cheap pants. The morticians close the top half of her permanent bed for me to never see my mother again. I want to jump in through that crevice before it shuts completely to have one more time with her. I would try if sister wasn't holding me so tightly. It isn't even 6 years since I first stood before mine receiving her salutation, and now I'm forced to say goodbye. Flesh of my flesh, blood of my blood. I feel a tug on my right leg. It's my little cousin Daquan, Shantae's first son. Maybe he's trying to help cover these bright socks of mine. No, he's pulling himself up from the floor to say, "Robert, Aunt Pom Pom gone to heaven." I can only hope so. That produces my first tear of the day, and I soak his shirt. By the time my sobs end, the preacher has finished the sermon and given his benediction. The church is 3/4 empty. Familiar faces surround the casket, prepared to carry Mom to her lot in the graveyard. We return to Grandma's house, where everyone sits around laughing and eating Popeye's chicken. It's some type of festival that I'm unaware of. My mother's death warrants some type of celebration. Everyone spends this occasion catching up, sharing the highlights of past years. We only see the family on Thanksgiving Day, Christmas Day, and the day of funerals. Everyone tries talking to me, but I lie on the couch, mute, craving eggs. It was the first and last supper Mom and I shared together. We were at her house, the one without the curtains. I said to her, "Mom, I'm hungry." Fumbling through the empty cabinets and refrigerator, she says, "All we have is eggs, man. I'll scramble you some. You like cheese?" I did like cheese, but I did not like the ketchup she poured on top of my food. Remembering this, I grow ill and avoid eggs and my true emotion on the matter for years after that day. Becoming of age, I obtained Mom's death certificate to learn of her true cause of death. Acute verapamil intoxication is what the autopsy renders. Verapamil is a drug that treats people with heart-related issues such as heartache due to lack of oxygen or blood in the heart, and for abnormal electrical activity in the heart. Physically, she had no heart condition. She resorted to prescription drugs. I speculate she felt that the only relief from the pain was to escape this world. Am I suggesting suicide? Studies show that many overdose on this medication to commit suicide. Any dosage was an overdose for her. Extreme depression from the possibility drives me to attempt to crack the case. Her criminal background shows many battery and assault charges, her being both the victim and defendant. She also had a possession of a deadly weapon charge. All of these involve her and her domestic partner, my sibling's father. Whether suicide or premeditated murder, to this day I'm uncertain of the method used to produce this result, and the pain is incomprehensible.